What is up, guys? Welcome to the detailed guide for the performer class. Yeah, it's called performer. We just all call it yo-yo. Alright, there's a lot to talk in this guide video, so I'm gonna try and walk you through it properly. If you have a certain aspect of the class rather that you want to understand, you can just check the description or the comment section, and there will be timestamps there or chapters that will lead you to various parts of this guide video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the yo-yo class. Exactly what is this class? It's one of the classes with the highest attack range. I believe it's a long range, mid to long range wind elemental class, and it is absolutely amazing. There we go. You see that? That's crazy, the distance, the range it has in one of its skills. And also we'll talk about the skills mainly, but I just wanted to show you the crazy range that has on the skills. Also, I guess you can also already see, that's a lot of alsos. Yeah. You can already see the stats right here. We will talk about everything in a second. Now, there's already one thing I love about this class is the fact that you can decide to build this class in two ways, which most other classes can't really be built in. The first is you can go defensive, be very tanky, survive longer, and just wear your opponent out if you want to. There's a build for that. And then the second way is you can go super DPS and just destroy everything in your path. I won't advise free-to-players to go this way, or you're absolutely going to get destroyed. So how do you unlock this class? Well, as a free-to-play, you will need to complete everything in Dawn Trial here. Even as a pay-to-win, it has chapters 1 to chapter 6. You need to complete the entirety of the Radiant Moon Ring. Go to this 100 section, like up to the 100 activity points here, and you will be able to obtain the Performer Invitation ticket. But if you are not free-to-play, if you are pay-to-win, you can forego all of this and just spend coupons to boost yourself there to get the ticket already. Now, there might be another way to obtain that Performer Invitation ticket, but I'm not sure about that, so I won't give you guys information that I'm not sure of. And also, to get that, to unlock this class, after you've gotten that token, you go to Castle College, and then you go to class transfer right here, the NPC, and you will be able to unlock it with a couple million gold. So make sure you have enough gold before you try unlocking this class. Now, how overpowered is this class? In simpler terms, I think the Inkmancer has met its match. I believe this class can defeat Inkmancers of the same rating. Can it defeat Inkmancers of higher rating? Probably, especially if the Inkmancer is not well built and doesn't really know how to fight this class or what they're doing. Then yeah, this class can defeat the Inkmancer of higher rating. I haven't tried that yet, but for now I know that this class can defeat Inkmancers of lower to the same rating. So the fact that it already can do that against Inkmancer, which is a broken class that can one-shot kill you, I believe this class is very good. Very good. Alright, now let's talk about the skill fully. You see, we have 5 skills here. This class is not like the Soul Dancer or the Assassin or the Blade Masters that can switch from one set of skills to another. This, what you see, is what you get, except for the third skill. We will explain that soon. So the first skill here has 2 stacks, which is like most other classes, like the Soul Dancer, for example. Now, what this means is, you can use it one and you can use it another, and then it goes on cooldown, 5-second cooldown. It is not affected by CDR. We'll talk about that when we get to the stats here. And yeah, that's basically it. So you need to make sure you plan your rotation properly, because you cannot use CDR to affect this class's cooldown, or use things like the EX Vortex to affect its cooldown. So you have to be strategic with your class's skill rotation. So the first skill is the Moon Blast. That's what we use right here. The second skill is the Whirling Wind. I think it's Whirling Wind. Very great skill. It's one of your high DPS skills. The third skill is Phantom Shadow. It helps you remove from control effect, gives you super ammo as well. There's a way you can upgrade this that will enable it to activate the second state, which will help it remove yourself from control effects, give you super ammo, and deal damage to the surrounding opponents. That's what the second state does. But the first state, which is just this one that's pure white, doesn't deal damage. It just gives you super ammo and removes control effects on yourself. Then the fourth skill, which is the only skill you can drag in this class's entire skill slot, is Gathering Storm right here. And you throw your yo-yo and deal a lot of damage. It also has the ability to CC, that's crowd control enemies, by dragging them to the center of the skill, but that is dependent on the talent you use as well. So right now, normally this will not control your opponent, but when we get to the talent point, you can choose the talent that helps you drag and control your opponents, stun your opponents if you want to. And finally, we have Thundering Toss. That's this final skill right here. One of the highest damage, I believe. Very good skill. And up here we have something that's like the charging bar, kind of the same with the fighters. this is very useful to know, because once this charging from 16% gets to 70%, you will unlock a special effect or a special state. I think it's called the skill flow state. We'll understand that when we get to it. But over here next to the charging bar, you see an empty blank slot, but when you keep comboing, you get a rating, D rating. You combo again, you get a rating, C rating. You combo again, you get B. This can go all the way to, I'm just spamming skills. This is the right rotation, do not copy this. And now we have double S tier and triple S tier. So you can see this glowing stuff. So that was the sacred flow state, and it just means your damage is increased depending on the talents you use. So what you need to understand fully about your skills is once your skills reaches once this charging reaches the 70 or 80% mark, you should be able to use Gathering Storm then as well to deal a lot more damage. This will deal a lot more damage the higher this is, your charging state is. Just understand that. And this doesn't mean you shouldn't use them in the beginning of deals. You can use them depending on your rotation and the opponent you're fighting. I'm just letting you know that you have a better chance or a high chance of dealing better damage the higher the rotation or the higher your charging point is right here. So now that we've explained every single state or section of its skills, let's talk about 3 things that are very important for you to know. If you have checked this class's build, you would have heard of things like the long raid, you would have heard of things like the sacred flow state, and you would have heard of something called finisher. Now we're going to explain these 3 things, starting with the finisher. The finisher is a debuff that you as the performer can inflict on your opponent, which will help you deal more damage to them with your other skills. An example is this first skill here. When you do this, you inflict finisher on your opponent, and immediately you do that and attack an opponent with finisher, your other skills are going to deal in a lot more damage to them. So that's one thing to know. So you need to make sure your first skill lands on an opponent accurately, and if you are an opponent of this class, you need to make sure you dodge that first skill if you can, because it just means they are going to be doing a lot more damage to you. Now, what is long raid? That's the second thing we got to talk about. If you see, as I'm walking, I have a green glow behind me, and the more I walk, the deeper the glow glows, and it keeps going till I start running or jogging in a wave. Fast jog, fast run. So that is the long raid state. And if you see up here, I have a green bar right up here. It's a buff. Now the long raid state actually increases your speed by 10% and your attack by 7%. During that state, you can gain as high as 178,000 to 200,000 attack. As you can see, we have 500,000 attack here, and if we do this, I think it triggers every 3 seconds. So right now it's 585,000 from 515, I believe. Now it's 585,000. We keep going, and now it's 693,000. That's the long range state, and it's a very great buff which you can still upgrade some more in your deep talent, but we'll get to that later. Those are the 3 things you need to keep in check or in your mind when you are trying to understand this class. Now, another name for this blank slot here that I was calling blank is technique. I just remembered it now. It's called technique. So this is technique. Right now we are D level technique, C level technique. Over here we get to B level technique, and then we get to A level technique, and then we get to S technique. So you should understand what it means to have an S, a double S, or a triple S technique. That means your skills are going to be dealing a lot more damage in a way. Now for the rotation, this is also dependent on your build. Remember, I said this first skill actually puts some debuff on the opponent, but it depends on the build you are using. You can go number 3, number 2, number 1, number 4, number 3, number 1, number 5, things like that. So I'm going to show you number 3, number 2, number 1, number 4, number 3, number 1, number 5, number 3. You can keep doing this. So it could be your rotation if you want. If you're not worried about being stunned by your opponent and the build you are using focuses on, you know, your number 2 skill or something like that, you could always go with number 2 first by force dashing or double jumping to your opponent, so you gain super ammo. Super ammo is when your character is glowing. You can do this and then use number 2, and then you can start your other rotations just like that. So it depends on the opponent you're facing, what class they are using, and the situation you find yourself in. That's the rotation. Those are the rotations you can use with this class. Now let's talk about the stats of this class. So if we go over here, we can see the 2 main recommendations are physical attack and critical level. So quick summary again, you can stick with the things suggested: attack and critical level. Later, upgrade your armor penetration as much as you want, MS as much as you can, and get your smite and toughness level as high as you can. those are the things you need to focus on. Ignore CDR for this class, except if you are using other classes like the Assassin or Soul Dancer, then probably CDR might be useful for you. If you are planning on focusing on this class, then ignore CDR. And now for the cores, I will only suggest 2 cores for this class. The first will be the 5 fire. Oh, that's what they are using. 9 water. Oh yes, that's what they are using. And 2 wind. Oh man, I love you, Gray. You are awesome.
Why are you gay?
So this is one core I will suggest for you, because 5 fire to increase your attack, the 9 water to increase your insight, which actually increases your ammo penetration and CDR, and finally you have your dexterity with the wind gen, which increases your MS, that's multi-strike, and also your critical. But if you don't want to use this, the second build I will suggest will be 9 fire, 5 water, and 2 wind. Now you can decide to go for critical build, which will be either a 9 or 5 wind gem, and you can decide how you share the water and fire amongst themselves. So you can decide to go for that. But again, the number 1 dominant class is the Inkmancer, which actually counters critical. So the only thing useful you will get from this will not be critical, it will be multi-strike. Now let's jump into the main point which everyone has been waiting for, which is the talent of this class. So we have 3 builds. I will not show this build. This is Gray's build. So first of all is the damage or PvE build, which is this one. I hopefully agree with this. I only think you should use this in PvE. You can use this in PvP as well, but mostly I think I will be using this for PvE because one, your skills are going to go on cooldown super fast. For example, you won't be able to do the rotation I suggested to you, which is, you know, like this. You won't be able to do that. See, it's still on cooldown. You won't be able to do this rotation, so you will be spending more time dealing default attacks, which not really that good, but it's great against monsters because monsters will not necessarily stun you and do that much damage for you. So you can use this if you want to, and I think it's great. If you want to change anything, maybe you can change this to this, but I won't advise this because I think this is best in PvP. But you can go for this, more damage, ignore defenses and stuff. Now for the deep talent, I think you can just select whatever you want here, read through it, they're all good. This account is the level 130, so sadly I was not able to unlock everything I need to unlock. For PvE, you want to go for the basic things like this one to increase your damage, things like that. Now before we jump to the PvP build, for PvE I would advise that you use the Moonfall EX. This will be very useful for you in PvE, but I'm not saying the EX is bad for PvP. I'm just saying I prefer Void Mirror for PvP. For PvE, you can go Moonfall. The next build is the PvP build, and this is we tested this in the stream. The first time we tested it, it didn't really end well because we just lost so much defense by not using the Void Mirror EX. But it's still okay. The problem is you need to be very careful with this one. Now, if you want to change anything here, your rotation will still be bad with this because again, I'm going to show you it. This doesn't go on cooldown, so yeah, see, it doesn't go on cooldown, so your rotation is still going to be very difficult to pull off successfully. So if you want to change anything, you can of course change the empty cicada to the Arclight to increase your damage. This is just for more damage, and you can see the S level talent now is Universal Crystal, which actually increases or helps with your Moonfall EX. So it reduces the cooldown of the intervals between you throwing the EX, retrieving it, and throwing it again. You do not have to retrieve it with this talent. All you have to do is just throw it and throw it again and throw it again. Now let me show you the favorite build. It's the spam build. Okay, we will go to the deep talents. I think you can use the same deep talents for this, but forget about that for now. Let's talk about the spam build right here. This is the spam build, and this is exactly what I love. The C level talent and the B level talent are the bread and butter of this build. Then you can experiment with the other ones. The S level talent is for just damage, which is amazing. We are not using this because it's for Moonfall. We are using Void Mirror EX, which is this one right here. So we do not care about these other two. You are focused on increasing your damage with this. This two increases your damage. This one helps your rotation to be consistent. For example, if you look here now, we do this and then we do this, and it resets this to a different version. I will explain what this different version is. I think I should have already explained it earlier on. Basically, this first one removes crowd control effect and gives you super ammo. Meanwhile, the second version removes crowd control effect, gives you super ammo, and deals 8 million damage at this level of 130, this 8 million damage, and this one nothing, no damage, just removal. So very good if you want to go more DPS. Again, you can change this if you want to get more damage with your Gathering Storm being the 4th skill right here, this one, if you want that. But if you do not want that, you could always leave this as here to increase your technique, which will increase your Sacred Flow skill damage. Sacred Flow, again, if you remember, is when this technique here is glowing, you get a big boost in damage, you get movement speed boost, and just like that. So if you want that, you go for that. Those are the 2 builds I fancy the most. This is amazing in my opinion. You can switch it around, experiment. Now for the deep talent, you have certain things you need to focus on if you are at this level of 130. If you are at level 200, you can just spam your talent, unlock almost everything you want. But I'm going to show you something you should take note. I mistakenly used my talent points on both things here in the live stream because I was in a hurry to test out the accounts, to test out the class. And talent here is for Void Mirror EX. If you don't remember what Void Mirror is, this is Void Mirror's EX. That's what that talent, this deep talent, is for. It helps with you surviving the 1-hit kill skill of most classes like the Visionaire or the Inkmancer or the Dragon Rider or the Elementalist. This helps you survive all those 1-hit kill skills. Now this second one is for Moonfall, and Moonfall is the second EX here. You can only use 1 EX at a time, so there is no reason why you should unlock both deep talents. So you either select the Moonfall or the Void Mirror. That's what you choose. So I shouldn't have unlocked this because I wasn't using Moonfall. Basically, this was 7 talent points wasted that I could have used because I was really hoping to unlock this that gives us a lot of boost from long range stacks. If you don't remember what long range is, it's the buff you get from moving around kind of for 3 seconds or so. This buff that increases your attack by a bunch. That's long range. So it would have been a lot more useful. Be careful with your talent points. Do not unlock both Magic Time and Silver Wolf at the same time. Now another important thing you want to know in the deep talents as you are unlocking them is Doomsday Rhythm right here. The final blue deep talent is amazing. So if your opponent is below 5% health or so, which you can get your opponent there by doing all this your crazy skills, this final skill right here has a chance of consuming all your energy and killing them instantly. So another overpowered execute stuff, but I'm happy it's at 5% health, not 15% health like the Visionaire and stuff. This is still a little balanced. Now of course, if you are upgrading the PvE section, you will want to go for critical damage, but for the PvP, and this might still change when or if the Inkmancer gets properly balanced. Then the Essence Tree will be good because it's deep talent, or rather it's talent that ignores critical, will no more be affecting you that much, because if you do not critical, then of course you will not deal critical damage, because also Dustbuster EX kind of counters critical damage at a high level. Look at it, under the protection of Dustbuster you will not be critical. For the EXs, I would suggest you go Void Mirror more than you go for Moonfall, but just know that if you do go for Moonfall, you have to use the S level talent that supports Moonfall. That's Moonfall Universal Crystal or Calamity Fader. But Void Mirror is defensive and very nice, while Moonfall is just offensive and amazing. That's the short form or summary of everything. For the other EXs, of course, the first one I would suggest for you will be Dustbuster. If you don't want to use that, you could always use other EXs like Minefield. You could use other things to negate your opponent's abilities like Holy Judgment to remove the Blade Master's buffs and stuff, which will just help you deal more damage. Again, I think Moonfall is amazing against classes like the Blade Master, because this just removes the opponent's buffs and reduces their defense. What dragon is best for this class? Now, you could use basically any dragon with this class. That's just how versatile I think this class can be. This account I'm playing in currently uses the Dragon Ghost that silences the opponent. So this is amazing to do a continuous stun on your opponent, and while they are silenced, this class on its own can also silence the opponent. So you silence them with your Dragon Blood, you silence them with your class skill, you freeze them or time lock them with your deep talent, and you just deal continuous stun and control with crazy damage. That's what you can do with Dragon Ghost. You can always go with Fenrir if you are scared of dying, and this will help you survive a little longer. As a free-to-play, Fenrir might not work that well for you. You might still die fast because you are free to play. Then the third dragon I would suggest will be Lord of the Sky and Wind, which can remove control effect, because when I was testing this class, because I was playing on PC, I kind of got stunned a lot by Inkmancers. So this can help you remove the stun of the Ink Masters and not be stunned again for 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds you are free to spam as much as you want. Now if you want to deal a lot of damage, Serpent Steel is an amazing dragon to have. I don't think they have it here. It reduces your opponent's defenses by a lot, so I think about 12% if you upgrade it very well, and that is insanely good for this class. Now for Dragon Cocoons, I believe the best you can have is the green piece, 6 of it, just to increase the damage you get. You get a crazy amount of buff with this one. Look at this, 20% increase in damage. Now for the second 4 piece, you can use any of the other ones depending on what you like. Do you want to freeze your opponent? You can use the red. Do you want to petrify them? I believe yellow does that, or is it white? So you could use any of these to freeze, petrify, silence, time lock your opponent. Any of that will work for you. Just grab a 6 piece of this, whatever class you're using, except maybe the Blade Master, and it's going to be super helpful for you. Now gear or sets, the one universal set I would advise everyone to use is 4 pieces of the red set, and it's just more of an insurance for when you get killed or when it's killed. It will trigger, gives you a shield, and you have 6 seconds to go crazy on your opponent and hope to turn the tide. Now the other one you can use, of course, is the 6 piece of dexterity, which it's not mainly for dexterity you're going for or the hit percent, which is actually useful. What you're going for here is this 6 piece effect that has the chance to make your opponents vulnerable for 12%. This means your opponent's going to be taking 12% more damage, and also you have a chance to freeze your opponent. So this is a lot of things or buffs added together. You have to freeze from here, you have the protection from this red one, you also have to freeze from the Dragon Cocoon, the red one, you have the DPS boost from this one. All of these together added to the class's ability to freeze and time lock and silence and stun. It's a lot that this class can do, especially with the right build. There are 3 7 scenes you can use with this class. The first is Pride. It's one of the best 7 scenes you can use because it reduces your opponent's defenses and it can also remove their buffs as well. So this is very great for you if you want to use this. It could help you deal so much damage. Look at this 22% reduction in defenses. That's crazy. Now another 7 scene you can use will be the 7 scene of Filth, which is just great because this is like an incentive to ensure your opponents do not run around. You're going to be facing a lot of people that will be running away from you when you're playing this class, except maybe the Ink Masters sometimes. But this also works against the Ink Masters because most Ink Masters are now using the exploit, not really exploit, but the strategy of using a skill and then jumping before the skill activates, so they can do that again to cancel that, so the skill works for them. That's basically what most people are doing. And when doing all those jumping and everything, the Ink Master will be taking bleed from the 7th scene of Filth. So they will be taking bleed. That's just an extra addition of damage upon your normal damage. And I believe Filth at a higher level can also increase the damage your opponent takes. I'm just going to check it real quick. Oh, there we go. There are 2 of them. The one that increases the damage you deal to the opposite sex, and then we have the Dragon Rage here that increases your critical damage by 20%. There's more later, but those are mainly with bleed. So Filth is very great. Now another EX you might want to use, or rather 7 scenes you might want to use, is Wrath. This is the 3rd one. Very, very risky. Kill them in 1 rotation or die if they survive, basically. So that's what this is. So those are the 3 7 scenes I will advise. Now for allies, depending on your build, I have already made a video about allies. I will drop a link to that in the description of this video or in the comment section, and you can just check that out. Use that to figure out what allies you want to use. You could use defensive, offensive, control allies, healing allies, things like that. For this particular character, Grace using an ally that heals him and also gives him an immunity shield, so there's a chance he can trigger this immunity shield of Luminous, but that is his own playstyle. You gotta figure out your own playstyle. So watch that video and you should understand everything about allies. And I believe that is everything I can remember to talk about in this class. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content. I appreciate every single one of you. Again, thank you Great, thank you Kings as well for giving me the opportunity to use your accounts. I appreciate you guys. Again, if you want to support the channel, you know, you can just stop by the live streams, drop some donations and all those things. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. Anyway,
stop it. Get some help.
Thank you guys so much for joining the video. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or requests, you can drop them down there in the comment section. I read all of them. I'll respond to you if needed, or make a video if necessary. Again, this has been a detailed guide for the performer class. Take it easy, guys. I hope to see you all in the next one. I appreciate you. Love you all. And bye bye.
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.